this is how I'm using Delta Math to create this assignment that I gave to my Algebra 2 students today for a quiz grade. If you want to see more of just like an overview of a Delta Math problem set, if you see in Slack, I believe I pinned it to one of the threads in features, I believe, and you can see the overview of just what Delta Math is and how to use it. So if you've seen that video, I'm going to talk how I created a actual quiz today. So I would click on create standard assignment, but I'm just going to go ahead and edit my assignment so you can see my assignment that I made. You go ahead and give your assignment name. You can check off the sections that you want to give it to. I'm giving it to my Algebra 2 sections. I'm also uploading it to this answer bank, and I created this assignment bank because I want to use that assignment bank always to be able to check what the students are going to see whenever they are doing the problem before I ever give it out to the actual class. I like to go through and see how it works. And I have the Delta Math Plus subscription, which costs $20 to get it till October 1st, I believe, of this calendar year. It costs $50 or $65 maybe to have a full year subscription. I can't remember exactly, but if you click on Delta Math Plus features and you don't have a subscription, it'll tell you how much it is for the different time periods. Let's go back to that edit assignment that we were just looking at. So Delta Math videos is something that's with the paid subscription. It allows for when a student's doing the problem to see a video on how a problem is supposed to be done. I'm hiding that for the sake that this is a quiz grade. Also, there's a student notes feature which you can require or not require. All that does is give a unique ID code for a specific problem. That if you want students to show their work instead of showing actually writing out the problem, because some of them involve graphs and like a paragraph of instructions, instead of them having to write that out completely, they can just write the unique ID and then show their work. And what you can do is, when you go to see the student data, you can look at the actual individual student. Like let's say I want to look at Ricky's quiz grade for this. I can go ahead and click on that problem and see, okay, this was his unique ID code, so on and so forth. It's really necessary for if you want to check work for problems that are created at random, but some of these problems I did not create at random, and I'll show you that in just a second. But see, this is a problem that is actually specially randomized for Ricky. Not all the students are going to get this exact problem right here. So I can just check his handwritten work for the unique ID code, and then compare it to, okay, this was the answer that he got, but well, his work actually didn't show very much at all. So maybe he used some sort of website to help out. I don't know. But I also could use it to see his handwritten work looks way too much like this exact format right here. So he somehow probably used an app to get the correct answer, and then when it got it correct, he wrote down all the work. But that's not really a problem for my students. It's not because I'm a good teacher, but more because of the fact that I'm not even grading their handwritten work, because I know that there's so many things available for them to let's use a better word than cheat. How about get an advantage, an unfair advantage than other students who are going to be honest. So I really don't even worry about it. I just click it on required. It's a default that I have in case I ever want to make them show work. Also, what's really cool, and this is only for the paid subscription as well, is this time limit feature, which allows for me to make a quiz under a time limit. So maybe they do have the advantage of using some sort of website. Well, if I limit this time limit enough, there are some websites where it's just going to take too long for them to go ahead and kind of take the picture, have it detail it and everything. So they really have to do it by hand on some of them. And maybe the way they're using apps is quicker than them handwriting works. I don't really know. But it allows for them to have that kind of, all right, I have a time crunch just like I would in the classroom to be able to finish this, not an unlimited amount of time. It also kind of alleviates them working together, right? That's much harder than like, hey, I want you to help me with this particular problem. Well, I can't because I'm on a time limit. So maybe they still have those apps to get help from, but they can't ask each other for help because of the fact that there's a time limit on them. And then you can post the assignment either immediately as soon as you complete your actual assignment. You can press the later button, which means it's saved, but you're going to upload it later on for some time that you're not sure of yet, or you can pick a specific time for it to upload for the students. Unfortunately, you can't give different specific times for different sections. So what I usually do is immediately I leave these completely unchecked except for the assignment bank. And then as I have my classes, whenever I enter in on Zoom, I go and check that particular class to have it. So let's go ahead and look at some of the skills that I've created. To add a skill, you'll see that this is all the categories that show up on the main page before you create an assignment. Today we're working on trig graphs. So you click on this, it shows you a sample of what the problem is. I can say, all right, I want to press this little plus green sign, and what that will do is create a category that says midline from a trig graph, and it will be a random set amount of problems. Let me go ahead and press add. You see it added to the bottom right here, and I can require the amount of problems they need to get correct. I default it to where there's no penalty, which means if they get a problem wrong, their score isn't deducted. Honestly, I would suggest that people do no penalty because of the fact that it might take them forever to get a score of 5 if they keep getting problems wrong. And honestly, I just want them to get at least 5 or whatever amount requirement I want from them to get correct, and not really take them away from their incorrect if I'm making a homework assignment. But this is a quiz, so I would probably put the requirement. I would do no penalty, but what I would do is delete this show examples so that they can't get help from an example on screen. And then I would change the amount of attempts they're allowed to have. I always use 2 because there's a chance they might mistype something on accident. And then you can change the max problems to be equal to the number required, so that means they only have 5 different problems they'll be given, and their score will be whatever they get correct out of 5. Or you can say, well, I want to give them a little bit of leave room, so if they get 1 problem wrong, maybe I want to allow for them to have 6 problems total as the max. And so if they get 1 problem wrong, they can still get a 5 out of 5 for that particular problem category. Now, I'm going to go ahead and remove this skill. What I did was use the feature where I want everybody to be doing at least some of the problems exactly the same instead of it just being randomized. So what I did was I go on midline and I just kind of clicked on new problems till I saw a problem that I liked. And I said, you know what? This is the problem I'm going to have as a midline problem for them. And you can click this button that is assign this problem. Once again, this is only a feature that comes with the Plus, Delta Math Plus subscription. And what it does is create a single problem like this, and I can see that problem again. Okay, yeah, I like that one. And I can say no example. I can create the weight of this problem to be a certain number, and then I can have 2 attempts for them. And so you'll see that I have a bunch of different problems that say single right here in parentheses. That's because I gave them 10 single problems that everybody all has exactly alike. And then you'll see 2 little categories here at the bottom that are mixed review, which what I did was I clicked on this button that said mixed problem, which means I can create a problem set that uses multiple categories here, and it's just going to randomize different problems from the different categories all within this one section. And what I want them to do is get 5 correct. Now, because I want to be kind of fair to some students that are just struggling with this online learning environment, I have these 10 single problems that everybody has exactly alike, and they're all only weighted as a 3% of the quiz grade. Whereas these mixed reviews, I'm requiring them to get 5 correct, but I have no limit on how many they can get, or no limit on their max problems. So if it takes them 20 problems to get 5 correct, well then it took them 20 problems, and they still get full percentage credit for that particular problem set, regardless of how many attempts they took. But I create the weight a little bit heavier as well for this, because I'm honestly just trying to get these kids to feel not so stressed out about getting things correct, because then that's how they feel the need to cheat. I feel like giving them some more leniency is going to give me a better understanding of them being truthful in their actual responses and doing the work. And so I'm making these two categories, where one of the categories is all the problems where they give you a graph, and then I made another mixed review of all the problems then which they are given no graph and they're having to determine some things about the graph of the trig function. And I weighted those two sections as 35%. That way they can automatically pass the quiz without worrying about how many problems it's taking them to get correct, right? Everybody can get a 70 as long as they keep working on it. Whereas these first problems will deduct their score from 100 by 3% each for each problem they just can't get correct, all right? And so what I suggested to my students is that they did the mixed reviews first, to get a leg up on being able to do these individual ones that are a little more, okay, you get it right or wrong, and you get credit based on the right and wrong. All right, so that's how I created the quiz on Delta Math. You got to make sure before you do it, you create a due date, and then I always create some late dates as well to give them partial credit, 80%, and then you'll see here I have until the end of May that everybody's going to get at least half credit as long as you finish it at some point. And so you complete your edit, and I probably shouldn't have pressed that because it's probably going to mess with the problem set, because I don't remember what exactly I changed about it, but oh well. But that's how you do it on the teacher interface. I'm going to create another video to see what the students see from their interface.